Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the place where we cut through the noise to help you build true financial independence according to the Golden Path strategy.
Hmm.
If you've been with us on this journey, you know we're not just talking about money. We're engineering a totally new financial identity,
The asset owner.
the asset owner.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And we've sort of transitioned away from that initial internal work,
The mindset and the identity shift.
Right, that part. We're now firmly planted in stage 2, which is all about building financial resilience.
Building the fortress.
We're constructing a fortress before we go out and conquer. That's a perfect way to put it.
And we've done some heavy lifting recently. I mean, we previously addressed the 3 core pillars of stability.
We did.
We locked down our cash flow, right? Make sure we stop the financial bleeding.
Oh, step 1.
Then we built the saving muscle, making intentional, habitual saving just the default.
And then, most critically, we established the emergency fund.
That non-negotiable security layer.
It's the financial firewall. It means that when life, inevitably throws a
A
curveball,
leaky roof, a surprise medical bill.
a sudden job shift,
Yeah.
it doesn't completely derail your entire long-term plan. We have security.
Okay, so we have cash flow secured, savings are automated, and the safety net is built.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we confront the final major obstacle in this resilience stage.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Today, we address step 8, aggressively managing and really eliminating harmful debt.
And the mission for this deep dive is to fundamentally redefine how you view debt. It's not just a balance on a statement.
No.
We need to internalize that eliminating harmful, destructive debt is not a restriction. It's not a sacrifice.
It's a strategic move.
It is the final strategic defensive move that solidifies the foundation you need for stage 3 growth. Until this step is complete, your entire structure of resilience is fundamentally compromised.
Okay, let's unpack this using one of the most powerful analogies from the source material.
Let's do it.
If you are operating with debt, especially high-interest consumption debt, you are not truly working for yourself. You are fundamentally working for the lender.
Think about that for a second. Just really think about it. When you clock in on Monday morning, how many hours of your week are you spending just to earn money to service yesterday's purchases?
It's a sobering thought.
The asset owner identity dictates that debt is more than a monetary commitment. It's a future obligation of your time, your effort, and most crucially, your freedom of action.
And that's the core idea of the financial leak. You work hard for that paycheck, but if you have a 20% credit card balance open,
Right.
a portion of every single dollar you earn is instantly siphoned off just to pay the interest on things you consumed months, maybe even years ago.
That leak means your system is perpetually inefficient.
It just is.
It forces us to confront the reality of compound interest. We often talk about it being this 8th wonder of the world when it works for you.
Through investments, yeah.
But we have to remember, we can't ever forget that it is constantly, aggressively working against you via open, harmful debt.
And when it's working against you, it doesn't just erode your capital, it erodes choice.
It really does.
If you are chained to massive monthly payments, your future self is already mortgaged. You can't easily take a risk on a new business idea or move to a cheaper city for a better job.
Or even just take a brief career pause to upskill.
Exactly, because the lender owns a piece of your financial decision-making matrix.
That leak analogy just perfectly captures the gravity of it.
Yeah.
As long as destructive debts are open, that future economic effort is being silently extracted every single month.
Which brings us directly to the common trap that most people fall into, what the sources call the normalization of debt. Most people, especially early in their careers, they don't understand how debt truly works.
They don't. They're distracted by the manageable monthly minimum payment.
Right. And they completely ignore the massive total cost over the life of the loan.
This is a societal training problem. It really is. Society actively encourages and normalizes debt as a constant state.
Well, absolutely.
We see chronic overdrafts, personal loans, revolving credit, and increasingly systems like buy now, pay later.
Everywhere.
And they're presented not as emergency tools, but as a normal operating procedure for consumption. This environment makes carrying high balances feel acceptable, almost expected.
It's psychologically brilliant and fiscally ruinous. I mean, the lender market's the low monthly barrier.
Of course.
It makes a $20,000 purchase feel like a manageable $300 a month. But that $300 payment might be, 70% interest in the early years.
At least. trapping you in a cycle that lasts for decades and literally doubles the real cost of the item.
And this is why we have to challenge the idea that debt used for consumption is some kind of solution.
It is never a solution.
Yeah.
It's merely delaying a financial problem at a very, very high price. It's the ultimate deferred payment system for failure.
That sounds almost alarmist, but it's actually grounded in real economic principles. You mentioned Hyman Minsky earlier. Can you quickly connect his theory to an individual's personal finances?
Absolutely so. Minsky's theory, simplified, suggests that a system, whether it's a national economy or just your personal bank account, that relies heavily on debt, that doesn't produce value, it gradually becomes unstable.
Okay.
If all your debt is based on paying for past consumption vacations, clothes, and over-leveraged car, then the system has no shock absorption.
So in plain terms, Minsky is saying if you keep piling up liabilities that don't increase your income, the next time a real-life event happens,
Your whole budget is shaky.
your personal finance system becomes financially fragile, unstable. The stability we built in steps 5, 6, and 7 is immediately negated by the debt.
Precisely. If we are trying to establish the asset owner identity, we have to recognize that debt is fundamentally changing our system from one of stability to one of vulnerability.
So we have to challenge this idea that debt is just a neutral tool, something that just exists out there for us to use when we need it.
That is the guiding principle that shifts us into stage 2 thinking. For the asset owner identity, debt is viewed not as a neutral tool, but as a strategic cost.
A cost.
A cost that must be managed intentionally and mercilessly. You have to be meticulous about both the cost and the purpose of the debt.
This is where the conversation gets a bit more nuanced. It feels a little purist to say all debt is bad, right? I mean, credit is essential for economic mobility for large asset purchases.
That's a vital clarification.
And financial thinkers like Robert Kiyosaki and Benjamin Graham, they stress this fundamental difference between debt for growth and debt for consumption. So how do we make that distinction clear?
It's a great question. The issue isn't just the size of the interest rate, though that is important. It's fundamentally about what the debt produces.
What it creates.
Exactly. Does the debt help generate income, improve cash flow, increase your earning power? Or does it simply fund a temporary feeling or an immediate status symbol?
Okay, let's break that down then. This core distinction is the knowledge gap for most people. What are the specific criteria for good debt in the Golden Path context?
Okay, so good debt is taken intentionally to acquire an asset that serves the overall strategy. And it has to meet several critical tests. First, it generates income or it covers its own cost over time. Second, it must either directly increase your earning capacity, so think targeted job training, or an advanced certification you need for a promotion, or it has to demonstrably improve your net financial position by appreciating faster than the cost of the debt.
Okay, let's run a hypothetical. If I take out a loan to purchase a rental property and the rent I collect covers the mortgage, insurance, taxes, plus a little extra, that's good debt.
Yeah, the debt is paying for itself and it's building equity.
So it's good debt.
Absolutely. That is debt acting as leverage. But here's the nuance. If you take a loan for a rental property and the carrying costs force you to put cash into it every month.
So it has negative cash flow.
Right, it has negative cash flow.
Yeah.
That property debt suddenly drifts toward bad debt territory because it's actively eroding your current cash flow and it's creating fragility.
That makes the distinction based on the outcome, not just the intent. I like that. So what about student loans? They're often the largest debt young people carry. They're supposed to increase earning capacity, but they can also consume a massive part of a future salary.
That is the perfect gray area. If a student loan funds a degree in a field with a clear, high return on investment, say engineering, medicine, targeted tech training, it acts like good debt.
Okay.
Because the debt service is far outweighed by the increased lifetime earning potential.
Oh.
However, if a loan funds a highly expensive non-vocational graduate degree that doesn't dramatically change your market value, that debt may be functionally bad. It consumed future earnings without a guaranteed return.
So good debt is leverage. It helps the asset owner multiply their efforts. Now let's go to the opposite. Bad debt. This is the one we need to attack ruthlessly.
Bad debt is the kind that funds immediate consumption. It does not generate any income, does not build future capacity, and it actively erodes your cash flow.
It relies entirely on your uncertain future income, your future time and effort to pay for past indulgences.
Exactly.
The classic examples are pretty obvious. High-interest credit card debt, especially those revolving balances that never seem to zero out, or personal loans taken for depreciating items like a big luxury car that's beyond your means.
And we have to emphasize the psychological component here. A huge source of bad debt comes from buying status symbols.
Right.
Purchasing an expensive watch or taking a costly vacation on credit funds, an image, not a future. And Ray Dalio's principle becomes brutally clear here. Debt that fails to generate cash flow actively increases risk and reduces freedom. The minute your debt isn't paying for itself, it is attacking your ability to maneuver.
It's the difference between the survivor and the asset owner. The survivor uses debt to relieve immediate psychological pressure or to fund status.
While the asset owner uses debt only if it buys freedom or income down the line, it's about being deliberate.
The golden path is deliberate. Having completed those previous stabilization steps, cash flow positive, savings established, emergency fund built, you now have the capital and the discipline to attack the bad debt strategically.
And that strategic sequencing is non-negotiable. We cannot stress this enough.
Yeah.
Financial futures cannot be built on an unstable foundation of harmful, interest-bearing debt. Eliminating bad debt is the strategic choice that must precede the move into stage 3.
Investing and leveraging.
Think of it as a guaranteed return on capital. If you choose to invest, you might get a 7 or 10% annual return, and that's fantastic, but it carries risk.
Of course.
If you pay off a credit card that charges 25% interest, you have secured a guaranteed, immediate, tax-free 25% return on that payment.
You will never find a safer, higher return for your capital than destroying high-interest debt.
Never.
And that freed-up cash flow is the true engine for the next stage. It's not just about the interest rate saved. It's about the concrete, positive outcomes once that destructive debt is gone.
And the outcomes are immediate, and they are transformative. Your monthly cash flow stabilizes instantly because the leak is plugged.
Right.
The perpetual financial stress and pressure drop significantly. And crucially, your decision-making ability improves because you're now acting out of strategy and opportunity, not out of panic or desperation to meet minimum payments.
It all comes back to the house-building analogy that we rely on in this path. Debt management is the final step in pouring the concrete foundation of stage 2.
Yes.
We're reiterating that principle. First the foundations, only then the stories and floors. Once this debt is managed, the entire structure is secured and it's ready for sustainable growth.
By locking this down, we complete the advanced stage of resilience. The groundwork is stable, the leaks are plugged, and the financial firewall is built. We've achieved maximum defensive security.
Which means we are perfectly positioned for the final, exciting pieces of stage 2. Looking ahead, the next deep dive will cover the remaining steps before we enter the growth phase. We'll discuss Step 9, automation making your new good habits run like a machine. And Step 10, risk management, which involves implementing the full financial firewall through smart insurance and legal planning.
We will finalize the defensive security layer, fully preparing you to move confidently into stage 3, growth, investing, and ultimately, economic freedom.
Now let's finish with a final provocative thought for you to consider this week, reflecting on the nature of consumption debt, especially that drive for status spending.
Okay.
Think about the bad debt you carry right now, whether it's on a credit card, a personal loan, or a car note that's just a bit too big. I want you to identify one item, just one, that you purchased using that credit that was solely or primarily intended to fund an image for other people or just to keep up with appearances. That money, every dollar of it, was literally traded for future freedom. So what decision is needed, starting today, to choose that freedom over temporary external validation?
We invite you to continue the journey.